Alrighty, guys. So we are going to get rocking and rolling here. We have hit 1 o'clock. So thank you for being here and excited to share with you some insights in how auto body shop customers find you online. We're going to keep this really simple because I don't want to bury you with all the details and all the tactics, but I want to give you a high level overview of how people are finding you online. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we are going to go ahead and get started here. All right. So just finished sharing my screen. Welcome, Brittany. Just getting started here. Just like I mentioned, finished sharing my screen, and I hope you can see that. I see there's not many of us here. So we're just going to go ahead and start rolling. There might be some more people joining us. And what we're talking about today is how auto body shop customers find you online. I really like to keep this really simple. We're not going to get too buried in tactics or buried in the details. This is going to be very high overview. And we're also going to talk a little bit about what separates the shops that are getting the calls, the winning shops, from the ones that are not. All right, we're going to get rocking and rolling. So, why this matters more than ever, as we all know, the way customers are finding shops has shifted. We have people doing a lot of research online, trying to figure out what is the best option before they ever make that phone call. And even if they're calling their insurance adjusters first, even if they're talking to the insurance first, they're still doing research online after they talk to their insurance to find out which shop they believe would be the best option. So, shops that are winning are not necessarily doing more things. They're just doing them in the right order. And we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to really dive into that about what the right order looks like. All right. This webinar is for you on a few different bases. If you own or manage an auto body shop or a collision repair shop, if you rely on phone calls or people dropping in and getting estimates to grow your shop, if you feel like you're doing marketing, but you're not seeing results, then this webinar is for you to help you understand what could be going wrong potentially. And if you want more of the right people calling your shop, this webinar is for you. So welcome here. And it looks like I went the wrong direction. Okay, there we go. We are back on track. So just a little bit about what you're going to learn today, breaking into four basic things: how customers actually search for shops online, what they look at before they call, why some shops are consistently winning the jobs, and how to think about your marketing in the right order are the main things that we're going to be going over. All right. So, the real problem most auto body shops face is that customers are starting their search online before they call you, before you even have a chance of selling them on your shop. They are researching you and developing opinions, and your shop might be showing up, but it's not necessarily building that trust. So we're going to talk about that more later, but that's so huge in marketing. But first of all, we're going to talk about the visibility portion. So as we mentioned before, customers, what they're doing first is they're searching online and they're looking for reassurance. They want to know that they're making the right decision, not necessarily, they're not looking for marketing. They want to know that they're making the right decision. And we're going to talk about this more later, but in the collision repair industry, in the auto body repair industry, these decisions are normally made quickly. They're not something that somebody's pondering for months and months trying to decide, what should I do? Like maybe it's something, let's say you're adding a pool in your backyard. That's a decision that you can sometimes take months to decide. Something like collision repair is not that way. And we're going to dive more into that as well. So here are some things that shops are doing wrong. Many shops assume that people know who they are. We've been in the community for 50 years. We've been here for a long time. Everybody knows us. That assumption is not necessarily true. especially when you're in a larger metroplex, because people are constantly moving, things are changing, things are evolving. So don't assume that customers know who you are, because they don't necessarily. Others can believe that referrals are what's going to get you through. So we've been around so long that everybody's talking about us. We've fixed generations of cars. Like we used to work on their grandpa's car, their dad's car. Now we're fixing their car. And that's awesome. That's a great thing to have. But we can't just count on referrals to carry us through. Another problem that shops sometimes face is they're investing in marketing, but they're just focusing on one channel at a time. And maybe it's something like, hey, let's go all in on social media. That's a problem. Also, visibility at the search stage. If we're not getting that right, nothing else really matters, because we are in a needs-based industry. So when people are searching for us, they are searching for us. And we want to be there when, obviously, when they're in that time of need. Because ultimately, you cannot be chosen if you're never seen. So another big problem, if people aren't finding you, you can't even be in the running. Let's go to the next slide. So where this all starts is in the search. And we could debate where these searches are happening. We're going to focus on Google today because they're still the biggest search engine. Times are changing. And I talk about this all the time. We're talking about AI, we're talking about AI searches and things like that. I'm just going to throw that in here now because that is changing things, that is disruptive. And we want to make sure we're staying ahead of that. But at the same time, Google is still the biggest search engine. So a lot of these searches are starting right in a Google search or in Google Maps. And like I mentioned before, a lot of these decisions are being made rather quickly. They're not taking a lot of time, spending weeks and months determining that your shop is the best option. So if you're not showing up there clearly, you're not even in the running. And I kind of went down this trail already a little bit, but the majority of the searches are starting in a Google search or Google Maps. And our consumers, our customers are bouncing between these probably without even really thinking about it. They might be using the Google search browser on their phone or on their laptop, and they're also using Google Maps interchangeably. And a lot of these are very location based. So they could be searching things like auto body repairs near me. That is the number one search term across the entire US, is auto body repairs near me. There's obviously a lot of other search terms as well, but that is the number one. And like I mentioned before, this really narrows it down for them. So when they do something like best auto body shop near me or auto body repairs near me, we want to make sure that we're showing up when they're searching. So just to define just a little bit between Google search versus Google Maps, search typically is giving us giving us a few options. It's giving us links to their website. It's giving us information about the business. Google Maps is, as you know, is showing us the Google business profile. It's showing us the maybe directions. We can see how far away they are. It shows us a few different options. It's showing us a few businesses, a few shops. And like I mentioned before, our customers, our consumers are bouncing around between these two. So we really want to make sure that we're optimized for both of them, that we're visible on both of them. So once we get in front of the consumer, they are deciding very quickly on these top results. And I know I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again because this is important to remember. They're not taking months to make this decision. They are deciding in a matter of minutes, in a matter of hours. So we've got to get some things right. And we're going to talk more about that later. But we want to have things like our name, our reviews. Obviously, distance is a big deal to a lot of people. So if you're on the other side of the city, or if you're 50 miles away, you're not going to be as appealing as a shop that's only 2 miles away. Obviously, your videos, your photos are playing a big part in shaping that trust before they even dive deep into researching you. This could be the determining factor if they choose you. And obviously, your website and let's say you're running Google ads, those all need to be consistent with what they're seeing when they're searching. Being visible is not enough. So that is step one. Showing up is step one. We cannot force a customer to choose us. We cannot force them to. And they've got insurance talking in their ear about where to go. So, what are we going to do to set ourselves apart? Because a lot of shops look identical online. We want to be the shop that feels the safest, that builds the trust the quickest. And here again, visibility without trust doesn't convert. And that's something I think we want to get into our heads as well. We can be visible, but that visibility needs to be building that layer of trust that gives them the confidence to make the phone call and initiate dealing with your shop. So here's a few common mistakes that we see across our industry in the collision repair and in the auto body repair. And this could be for your Google business profile. This could be for your website. No consistent photos or branding. People are very visual. We want to ensure that we have that element there. Weak review profile. Not enough reviews. So if your shop has 23 reviews and your competitor has 258 reviews, guess which business will probably get, or which shop is going to get the most business? Reviews build trust. So definitely something to work on there. Your incorrect business information. Maybe the hours on the Google business profile, maybe the hours on your website are wrong. Maybe you've moved and your Google business profile was never updated. Your website is slow, it's outdated. There's no clear call to action, there's no path forward. We need to guide these prospects, these customers through the journey. So our Google business profile needs to be part of that guide. Our website needs to be part of that guide to help them know what is the next step. So we were just talking about some of the mistakes. Here is ways that we can ensure that we're winning in the searches. And that's keeping our Google business profile information accurate, complete, building that steady flow, recent 5-star reviews. So let's just think about this. Maybe your shop has 250 reviews that you've collected over the last 10 years, but for the last 10 months, you haven't gotten any reviews. And I'm exaggerating a little bit here. I'm trying to make a point. There's a couple things that go on here. To Google, there's not that consistency. There's no signals coming in from the reviews coming in for them to see what's going on. So that's a problem for Google. It's also a problem for the consumer because all those good reviews are amazing things, but we have no idea. Did you change ownership or what is going on? Why are there no reviews for the last 10 months? That is a red flag in the consumer's eyes. So you want to have that consistent, steady flow of reviews coming in. Having good professional photos on your Google business profile, on your website. You don't need to hire a photographer for $5,000 an hour to come in and do this photo shoot. You can get some really good photos with somebody that's good with a smartphone, or you can hire somebody for $150 an hour to come in and do a professional photo shoot. Also, make it easy. Be that guide for them to call, for them to get directions. Just being consistent across Google, your website, and your online presence. All right, let's talk about step number 2. So step number 1 was visibility. Step number 2 is compare. So our consumers, our prospects, our customers go into the comparing stage. So they've got it narrowed down to a couple good options that they found online. And it's probably the top 2 on Google. It's probably the top 2 on the Google Maps or the top 3 shops there. And they're like, okay, cool. These look good. Oh yeah, the reviews. They start comparing and they start kind of having these trust signals going on in their head. Okay, the reviews look good. You know, man, their photos, they look really nice. I like that. Boy, these guys' website, that really looks professional. Looks like they know what they're doing. Oh, I like the before and after pictures. Oh, here's some pictures of the team. Oh yeah, cool. This is where most of the decisions are made in this stage right here when they're kind of comparing. Maybe their insurance told them they should go to this shop or told them that here's the list of all of our State Farm shops or whatever. And now they have to decide. they're spending some time here comparing your reviews. They're comparing photos. They're comparing distance and convenience. They're like, oh, okay, so this one's 10 miles away. This one's 5 miles away. Oh, this one, oh, they provide a shuttle or they provide a rental. They have on-site rentals. Oh, the website looks good. So you can imagine all these things that are going on in their head, in the consumer's head at this point. They're comparing. They're building out this profile in their head of which shop they trust the most. All right. So I've been talking about this, but just to reiterate this, your reviews are the number one trust signal. So if you want to build trust, it's you got to have reviews. And it's great to have them scattered across different platforms. Obviously, with Google, it's most important to have them at Google if we want to show up in the Google searches. But there's also things like CarWise, there's places like Yelp, Facebook. It's good to have a strong review profile online. And like we mentioned, recent reviews matter more than old reviews. And don't worry, just because you got one or two or three 1-star reviews, that's not going to kill you. Here's how you need to deal with that. Make sure you, if it's a valid review, that this actually happened at your shop. If it didn't, you can fight that with Google and try to get it taken down. But let's say it happened. There was a bad experience. There was some truth to what the person's saying. Is acknowledge it, own it, give a professional reply to that. Because guess what? People are going to go look at that reply more than they're going to look at the 1-star, and they're going to see how you guys responded to that. So that is very key. A weak review profile is really going to get you out of the running really quickly with Google and also with the consumers as a whole. All right, just to touch on the visual portion of your Google business profile, of your website, photos are a great way to build trust, especially with the consumer, not so much with Google, because they're just looking, they're like, oh, wow, look at that. That looks cool. They're scrolling along and they see all these nice pictures of the facility, of the team, of vehicles that have been repaired, maybe just candid photos in the shop of vehicles being repaired, things like that. Great way to set the stage for your shop and also clear services. Okay, so what do we do? What do we not do? Probably more focusing on what we do. So we definitely do collision repair, we do auto body repair, we deal with insurance companies, we set you up with a rental, we take care of all of these things. It helps to the consumer to get that picture in their mind. Okay, I'm going to be well taken care of. I can trust this place. All right, just a few red flags. Obviously, a low rating or very few reviews. Maybe you have 5 stars, but you only have 20 of them. That's a problem because there's just not very many reviews. Let's say you have 500 reviews and it's a 4.8. That is a great asset for you. A low rating, I would say probably anything below a 4, maybe even below a 4.3 is a low rating. So you definitely want to keep working on that. Obviously, no photos or outdated photos, maybe pictures that look like they're from the 90s. Make sure you've got good pictures on your Google business profiles. Make sure your website is up to date. Have a nice looking website. It doesn't have to be a $20,000 website, but it can at least be new, good pictures, and nice looking. Obviously, the wrong hours, missing information is a problem. That needs to be taken care of. Definitely a red flag to any kind of consumers. And also, no clear way to contact the shop. If there's no path forward, no call to action, that's a red flag. All right. So, trust, as we were talking about, these profiles that people are building out in their heads is formed in seconds. This is not something that the consumer has the luxury of deciding over the next 3 months. They are making a decision quickly based on these first impressions. Your reviews, your photos create this trust or doubt. If something feels off, they move on. And a lot of these decisions are made before they ever call you or potentially before they even ever visit your website. So trust is built fast and lost faster. Let's remember that. Let's talk a little bit about some comparison mistakes that shops are making. There's no clear differentiator. What makes you different? Why are you different from Caliber? Why are you different from Gerber? Why are you different from Classic? What sets you apart from all the shops in your city or in your town? There has to be a clear reason why people should choose you over the competitors. And I can throw out a few of for you. Maybe you carry most of the OEM certifications in your city, or maybe you are family owned and operated. You've been there for the last 50 years. You support the community. What clearly sets you apart? Why people should choose you over Gerber or Caliber or any of the maybe big corporate stores or even just your competition as a whole? Another comparison mistake is your online presence is outdated. There is it looks like it's from the 80s or it looks like it's from the 90s. Another mistake is your reviews are inconsistent. They're old. There's not many of them. Maybe there's only a couple every couple months you get a new review. Your website is hard to use on mobile. Or maybe it's hard for the consumer to take the next step. They don't know what should we do next? Are we supposed to call? Are we supposed to fill out a form? Are we supposed to schedule our appointment? How do we make the next step? All right, what are winning shops doing differently when customers compare? Well, here's just briefly touching on them. They look trustworthy at first glance. Their reviews are strong and recent. They have a professional presence online. Their website's clean and mobile friendly. It's easy to use. It's easy for you to call and book an estimate or come over to the shop and get your car repaired. So that leads us right into step number 3 is trust. So customers want proof before they call. They don't want to get on a phone call and know if they can trust you or not. They want to know that beforehand, before they even make the phone call, because it just removes that doubt from their minds that I can trust this shop with one of my most valuable possessions. Can I trust them? And this is an emotional decision. This is not strictly logic. So we have to ensure that we're building trust, because collision repair is not like just going out and buying a t-shirt. It's expensive, it's stressful. We're trusting this business with one of our most valuable possessions. So let's build trust. And we're going to talk more about how to do that. Here's a little bit more. And some of these things I'm repeating, but they're so key. Strong reviews is huge, and preferably not just reviews that are 5 stars with no comments underneath. You want to have reviews with comments, and I know, how do you get those? That's tough, but those are the best. Also, clean photos, professional photos, a website that gives you that professional look that you guys have, clear communication, quick response options, making sure that the consumer can communicate with you, whether it's a phone call, booking an estimate, or scheduling something online. Having your consistent branding as well. Your reviews are huge. This is social proof nowadays. It's the word of mouth today. We don't expect perfection. Consumers don't expect perfection, but they do expect to see some patterns. And like I mentioned before, one bad review is not going to destroy you, but no reviews, inconsistent reviews absolutely will. Consumers want to see that you are active and that people are choosing you and they're having a good experience. And that's why recent reviews are important. They build that level of trust. Your website can definitely build or break the trust. Even if your customers aren't spending much time on your website, the website still plays an important role in this credibility, in this trust that we're building. If they click it and they can ask this one question, does this shop look real and professional? Boom, they've got it right there. They can see that. They only need to spend 30 seconds there. So your website is not just information, it's that trust signal that you're sending as well. All right, response speed. Sometimes it's called speed to lead. And we need to think about this a little bit from the auto body, the collision repair perspective. When when prospects are looking for your shop, they're most likely stressed. They want to feel taken care of. And if they call and it goes to voicemail or it just rings and rings, or they submit a form online and they hear nothing, they're not going to wait around. They are going to move on. It's not because they're bad people. It's not because they're rude. It's just they are probably emotionally upset, disturbed. They're trying to solve a problem quickly. And the shop that responds first definitely feels like the safest choice. And so this is why things like messaging or a chat can be so powerful on your website, because it lowers this friction. It helps the consumer to quickly ask a question and get an answer, or jump on the phone and get an answer. The goal of all of your response times is obviously to increase the leads and increasing the trust that's being built with each of these clicks. We want to turn them into calls and ultimately turn them into repair orders in your shop. Here's a few things that break trust instantly. When things feel inconsistent and unclear. So if a customer clicks on your listing on your Google business profile and there's no photos, there's no reviews or very few reviews, there's no clear information, they don't think, oh, well, maybe this shop is a great shop. They think something like this: whoa, this doesn't look good. Or, hey, this looks kind of risky. I don't think we're going to go there. And they move on. So inconsistent information is also another big part of this. If your hours are wrong, if your address doesn't look right, if the phone numbers don't make sense, they're just going to assume that something's off, and it's going to break that trust. Obviously, slow response time or no response. If the phone just rings, or if you get put on hold right away when you call and it takes them 15 minutes to get to you, that trust is just getting eroded every second that goes by. So we need to ensure that we are obviously getting rid of these issues that break that trust. So here's some mistakes that I see shops making. The first one is that they treat reviews like something that just happens. They don't have any system in place. They don't pursue them. They just have reviews come in randomly. And that doesn't work. The second mistake is that they do not update their presence online. The photos are old. The information's incomplete. The Google business profile looks neglected. It's your storefront. It's your digital storefront. And customers interpret that as a shop that's not paying attention, as a shop that's risky, that I don't know if I should take my vehicle there. Another big one is the website. If it's old or outdated or confusing, trust drops. Also, your response speed. Customers don't wait around. So if you're too slow, they're going to move on to the next shop. And I think probably maybe one of the biggest mistakes is assuming that trust is automatic, because we do good work. We're the best shop in town. But guess what? The customer doesn't know that yet. You have to show that to them, and you have to show it online before they ever walk through your doors, so you can build that trust. So what do winning shops do differently before the call even happens? Well, they do things like reducing the uncertainty. Many customers are not just worried about price. They're worried about the process. They're worried about how long this is going to take. They're worried about, what do I do next? They're worried about insurance being a headache. They're worrying about, will my car be taken care of? They're worried about a lot of things. So winning shops are making this feel simple. They're communicating clearly. They're setting expectations. They make the next step very obvious. They have a clear call to action. They respond quickly then when the person reaches out. They respond professionally. And all of this is signaling organization and taking away that uncertainty. They're reinforcing that credibility everywhere the customer's clicking or calling. That trust is just being built one block at a time. All right, so we are at step number 4, the call. And this is where everything we talked about pays off or it falls apart. So they're not calling 5 shops. They're usually calling 1, maybe 2, and maybe 3. So the call is not the beginning of the sales process. The call is the result of decisions they've already made, of things they've already figured out, or the trust that has been built. And here's the key. This is where this is where marketing becomes revenue. So if you make it easy for them to contact you, you win. If you make it difficult, if they get to a voicemail, if they feel ignored, if they get put on hold, if the next step is unclear, they move on. And what's frustrating is most shops lose calls because of small little frictions like this. Not because of bad repair work, not because they're a bad shop, but because maybe it goes to voicemail. Maybe the way the CSR answered the phone. That's the frustrating part. So in this next section, we're going to try to break down a little bit of what actually triggers the call and then what stops it from happening. So what actually triggers the call? It's not your ad spend, it's not your website copy, and it's not your price. Customers call when they feel confident that they are making the safe choice. They're making the right choice for their family. They want to know 3 things. Are you close? Are you legitimate? And is this going to be easy? It's really pretty simple. Convenience matters more than we probably generally want to admit. And if you're nearby and you look trustworthy, your shop immediately rises to the top in the consumer's and the customer's mind. And the call happens when the next step feels simple. Maybe there's a clear phone number, there's easy directions, there's no confusion in the customer's mind. Most customers are not delaying because they're shopping around for the best detail. They're delaying because they're afraid of making the wrong choice. And the shop that removes that doubt wins the call. Now, this is where a lot of shop owners get burned by marketing because you will hear things like, great news, your traffic is up, or your impressions doubled, or you got 10,000 views. Now, that all sounds good, but traffic does not pay the bills. Calls pay the bills. Estimates pay the bills. Repair orders pay the bills. That's what happens. And what happens is a shop owner spends the money. They're seeing the numbers go up, but the car count doesn't change. And that's when they start feeling like this is a joke. Marketing is a scam. So the goal is not more clicks. The goal is more conversions. Because if you're getting traffic, but you're not getting calls, all you've done is bought attention. You haven't bought any business. You have not bought any money in the bank. And that is why we focus so heavily on the customer journey, because the money is not made in the traffic. The money is made when the phone is ringing and your sales team is closing those deals. So here's what stops a customer from calling, even when they are interested. So most of the time, it's not price, it's friction. If the customer can't quickly figure out what to do next, they hesitate. And hesitation online usually means they leave. And a big one is mobile. If the phone number is not obvious or the call button is not easy, you lose calls. Forms can also kill conversions if they feel slow or they're long or they're confusing. And customers just don't want to do all this homework. They just want a quick next step. Another barrier is expectations. A lot of customers assume they will not get a response because they've been ignored by businesses before. So they call the shop that feels the most responsive. And finally, uncertainty. If the process feels unclear, insurance, timing, what happens next, customers choose the shop that makes it feel simple and safe. And the goal at this stage is to remove friction, remove doubt, because the shop that feels the easiest is the one that's going to win the calls. So, what do winning shops do differently at this stage? They remove friction. They do not assume the customer knows what to do next. They make the next step very obvious, whether it's call, whether it's message, whether it's getting directions, requesting an estimate. It's clear and it's easy. And they also make it very mobile friendly because most of your customers are on a phone. If they can't tap a button to call, you're losing opportunities. And they respond quickly. They follow up. A missed call is not a lead, is not a lost lead if somebody actually calls a customer back. And they explain the process. They take the time because customers are nervous. They might be, they don't know, they've never done this before. We can talk to them about timing, about insurance, what happens next. The shop that makes it feel simple wins. And winning shops don't just get leads, they convert those leads because they make the customer feel like they're already being taken care of before they even walk in. So here's what happens when calls increase consistently. Everything gets so much easier. You stop living on this feast or famine mode, up and down. Instead of wondering if next month is going to be dead, you start to see predictable estimate volume. And when estimates are consistent, car count becomes stable. And that changes then how you can run your shop. You can plan your staffing better. You can plan your production better. You can make smarter decisions about equipment purchases or hiring because you're not guessing. It also changes your mindset around marketing. Marketing stops feeling like this stressful expense that you hope works, and it becomes a measurable system that produces repair orders. And that is the real goal. Not more clicks, not more traffic, more calls and more estimates, more cars on the lot are the long-term goal. All right. So now that we have walked through the customer journey, here's the big takeaway. Most shops are not losing because they're doing nothing. They're losing because they're doing the wrong things in the wrong order. Maybe they're spending money on ads before their Google business profile looks credible, or they'll build a website before they have any real trust signals, or they'll post on social media while customers are making decisions on Google. So what we've done here at Body Shop Marketing is simplify this into a plan that is easy to follow. There's really three things that matter. First, you have to be visible to where people are searching. Secondly, you have to build trust. So you make it into that short list and then obviously win the comparison when customers are comparing and making that decision in their minds. And third, you have to convert that attention into a phone call, into an estimate by removing the friction and making it simple. So if you get all three of those things right, marketing stops being random and it starts producing results. So let's just review this briefly. The first part of the plan is visibility, because if customers can't find you, nothing else matters. You can have the best team, you can have the best equipment, you can have the best reputation, but if you do not show up online at the moment when they're searching, you're out of the game. Visibility means showing up where customers are actually searching. And for collision repair, that is typically Google search and Google Maps. This is not about being everywhere on the internet. It's about being present in the places that create the short list that people are making decisions based on. Because customers usually narrow it down to 2 or 3 options quickly. Their insurance carriers are probably helping them do that. If you're not on that short list, you never even get an opportunity for the phone call. So step one is not selling. Step one is being seen. Let's go to the second step, and this is trust. Visibility gets you into the conversation. Trust is what gets you chosen. Because by the time a customer is considering 2 or 3 shops, they're trying to reduce risk. They're thinking, which one of these places is going to take care of me and not make this into a nightmare? Which one works with my insurance company? Which one's going to give me a rental? Which one has the best reputation? Trust is built before the call. It shows up in the signals that make a customer feel confident, and it shows up in how clear and professional the experience feels. And if trust is weak, customers default to comparing price. It all comes down to price, and they keep shopping, and they just pick the shop that feels the safest. That is why we put trust second. Once you're visible, your job is to remove that doubt so the customer is ready to make the next step. They're ready to make the phone call. You've built that trust with them. Let's go to step number 3, and this is conversion. And honestly, this is where a lot of marketing falls apart. A shop can be visible, it can be trustworthy, but if the next step is not simple, the customer's not going to call. Conversion is not a fancy marketing term. It just means the customer takes action. They call, they message, they request an estimate, they get directions. And the truth is, small friction can kill the results right here. A hard to find phone number, a confusing website, a form that feels like homework, or just a slow response time from the shop and the customer moves on. So once you have the visibility and the trust, the goal is to make action effortless, make it obvious, make it easy, and make it fast. That is how attention turns into calls, and then calls turn into repair orders. Now, this is the part that most shop owners get wrong. They do a little bit of marketing. They do some marketing here and there, but they skip steps. And when they wonder, they start wondering why results feel inconsistent, or why are we not getting any results? Because the order matters. If you focus on visibility, but you don't build trust, you might get some clicks, but you will probably tend to get a lot of price shoppers and things like that. If you, let's say you build trust, but the customer can't easily take the next step, you're missing those calls, you're missing those conversions, and the leads just fall through the cracks. And if you try to convert without visibility, you're basically trying to sell people who never even saw you in the first place. So it's not that these tactics don't work. It's just that they only work when they're stacked in the right order. Visibility first, trust second, conversion third. And that is when marketing stops being random and it starts becoming predictable and making sense. So here's what happens when you put these pieces together in the right order. Visibility gets you into the short list. That's step number one. If you're not seen, you can't even be chosen. Trust is what turns that visibility into confidence. The customer feels like you are the safe choice. Your shop is a safe choice. You're not just another option now. You are the best option. The conversion is what turns that confidence into action. It makes the next step obvious and easy so the customer actually calls. They request that estimate. When those three work together, marketing stops being random. You're not guessing, you're not chasing tactics, you're not hoping. You start to get this predictable flow of calls and estimates, and that's what leads to steadier car count. And that's the goal, a system that produces repair orders consistently, not just these occasional spikes up and down. All right, so at this point, we've walked through how customers actually make decisions, and here's the reality of it. Most shop owners don't have the time to become marketing experts. You're running production, you're dealing with insurance issues, you're managing customers, you're trying to keep this shop moving. So the goal is not for you to learn all these marketing tactics. The goal is to have a simple system that creates visibility, it builds trust, and it converts into calls and consistency. And that is where the right partner matters, because when marketing is unclear, it turns into stress. You don't know what to do next. You do not know what is working, and you start to second guess everything. So what we do at Body Shop Marketing is take this customer journey and turn it into an execution plan so you can focus on running the shop while the system produces calls and repair orders. So just a little bit about how we think about marketing at Body Shop Marketing. We're not trying to do everything. We're not trying to support. We're just trying to support the customer journey in the order the customers actually follow. So, like I mentioned, like we've talked through this whole webinar, first is visibility. We make sure that shops are showing up where customers are searching. So you're in the short list. And then second is building the trust. Once the customer finds you, we help your online presence be credible and professional so the customer feels that confidence in choosing you. And then third is conversion. We focus on turning that attention into calls and estimates by removing the friction and making the next step very simple. Because the goal is not ultimately, it's not impressions, it's not clicks, it's not likes. The goal is repair orders. The goal is money in the bank. And when you support all three of these steps together, marketing isn't just this random expense anymore. It's actually producing results. So let's just talk about a little bit about what success actually looks like. It's really not a prettier website. It's not more likes on Facebook. It's not a report full of impressions. Really, success is simple. It's the phone ringing. It's the repair orders. It's money in the bank. You get more inbound estimate opportunities and you stop living in that cycle where marketing feels great one month and dead another. You can also stop guessing. And instead of wondering if marketing is working, you can actually start tracking it. You can see what's producing calls. You can see what's producing repair orders and what needs to be adjusted. And that's the real goal, not just visibility, but this predictable lead flow that turns into real work so the shop can grow with confidence. So, who is this approach really best for? This is for the shop owner who wants more consistency. If you're tired of wondering why one month is slammed and the next month is dead, this is for you. It's also for the shop owner who's tired of marketing feeling like a guessing game, spending money, throwing money at it, and hoping, seeing what sticks. This is for shops that are relying too heavily on referrals or DRP relationships. If they want a stronger direct to consumer pipeline rather than being dependent on insurance companies to control your lead flow. It is especially for shops in competitive markets where showing up is not enough. You have to look like the obvious safe choice. The bottom line is simple. If you want predictable calls, predictable estimates, and a system you can actually trust, this is the approach that works. So, who should actually take the next step after this webinar? If you're a shop owner who wants more consistent inbound calls, this is for you. If you feel like your marketing results are up and down and you're not sure why, this is for you. If you look at competitors in your market and you feel like they're showing up everywhere online where your shop is invisible, this is for you. And if you're tired of being sold marketing packages without any real clarity, this is definitely for you. Because what most shops need is not more tactics. They need a clear plan. Visibility first, trust second, conversion third. So if you want help applying this to your shop and you want someone to show you exactly what to fix and what to focus on next, then taking the next step makes sense. So before we wrap this up, I want to ask you a simple question. Do you think you're losing calls right now? Because if you're not consistently showing up or customers are searching, you are losing calls. If your online presence doesn't build that trust quickly, you are losing calls. And if the next step is not simple, if customers can't easily call you, message you, or get directions, you are losing calls. And the frustrating part is most shop owners don't even realize it's happening because you never see the customers who clicked away. But the good news, this is fixable. It's not complicated. It's just a system. So if you want us to take a look at your shop and show you exactly where you're leaking calls, just go ahead and scan this QR code here and schedule a strategy call with us, and we can help guide you through this. All right, so if you want help applying this to your shop, here's the next step. Just scan the QR code on the screen, schedule a strategy call, and on that call, we'll do things like reviewing your online presence and identifying what is costing you calls and show you the highest impact steps to improve the visibility, the trust, and the conversion. This is to help you get clarity around your marketing. And you'll leave knowing exactly what needs to be fixed and what should be prioritized first to drive more inbound calls and repair orders. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start building a predictable system, just go ahead and scan the QR code and book a strategy call now. All right. So this is everything I wanted to cover off today. I appreciate you taking the time to join us, and hopefully this gave you a clearer understanding of how customers are actually choosing an auto body shop online and why some shops are consistently winning the calls while others get skipped. And if you want help applying this to your shop, you can just scan the QR code and schedule a strategy call with us. We'll take a look at your online presence. We'll show you exactly what to fix first. So thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you taking the time. And like I said, feel free to schedule a strategy call, reach out. I'm available. Our team is here to help you. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for your time today.